Hello everyone and welcome back to From the Depths. It has been approximately 20 seconds in game since the end of the last video and the start of this one, and we are paused because something has spawned. Now this might look familiar because 2 episodes ago we had to run from one of these and our craft is basically unchanged since then. This is a Hunchback. Another one has spawned. Now this thing has a killer volley of missiles on it as well as 8 railguns. This thing absolutely demolished us. Now we do stand much more of a chance because we have our 3 tanks out and they're firing Hesh. Depending on how this fight goes, it's one of 2 options really. Either we disable some of its weapons early on and then it becomes a slugfest while until this thing falls out of the sky, or this thing absolutely wipes the floor with us and demolishes us within the first. Alright, I've just had to do a whole bunch of fiddling with the ducks, changing their names and getting things sorted again because I retrofitted these things to extend their missiles by 1 and it messed up the whole docks. The missiles, they were holding fire a long time because a lot of targets would never get into their proper cone of fire for them to lock on. So I ended up extending the missiles by 1, adding a 1 turn and an additional fin. That gave me some more internal space, so the missiles have more fuel, so now they're a lot faster and a little bit more expensive, but not much. Other than that, thankfully the renovations that I've been doing mean that we have a huge surface area, a bit of block spam to sort of keep us alive while this thing just rails us. We are doing a tremendous amount of damage back, so this is not a one-sided fight. We have enough firepower that we might be able to take this thing down, but nonetheless we are heading towards that green portal anyway because we are taking a lot of damage. If this thing goes down, we'll fight it. If it doesn't go down, we're running from it. It's that simple. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Oh no. Unfortunately, those guns don't seem to be very vulnerable to the Hesh that we're firing. Or maybe we just haven't got a lucky hit yet. Not sure. All I know is we've taken a lot of damage. Oh, that's... Oh. What? Okay, that missile didn't actually do very much. I mean, the rest of everything is doing quite a bit. This is a lot of damage. It's got to be said. This is a lot of damage. I think all of our hover tanks are still alive and kicking, but we are in pretty bad shape. We lost a lot of engine power, so we're just kind of moving at a crawl. That is not good. That means it probably hit our batteries, and our batteries are in the same compartment as our RTGs, so who knows how much resource we just lost as we repair. Let's get these things docked, if the docks even work, and oh my word. Oh, that's not good. That's a flesh wound, if I've ever seen one. I guess technically we're alive. Yeah, alright. Alright, so we repaired as much as we possibly can. I think we are still missing some RTGs that haven't finished repairing yet. We lost all of our extra resources. So we are we are down to the wire here. And yeah. We're gonna head east probably and look for another difficulty decrease because I was not expecting another Hunchback. Alright, so I was building when I heard the guns start going off, and I took a look and it looks like we're under attack by a frantic chicken that has already taken 2 relatively critical hits. So, yeah. As far as the current shape of the craft, I'm working on expanding it quite a bit. I'll let you know right now that what I'm intending to do is sort of have 4 tank docks on turrets that will turn to face whatever enemy spawns, and then underneath that I'm going to have plenty of space for spaced armor and buoyancy, because of course the hover tanks will be rather large and heavy. Material storage, probably some remote repair tentacles, so on and so forth. I want to make this a launch platform for 4 very capable tanks, and I want to make it large enough that I don't have to rebuild it every time something happens. So we'll just go ahead and recall that force since they've killed the angry chicken, and it looks like we actually gained quite a bit of resources from that. Yeah, so we have a little bit to play with. Still not very much. I might take away some of the RTGs that we have so that I can keep working on the structure of it. I'm fairly confident that there won't be a Hunchback this time around, but nonetheless, I am going to start moving slowly, and I'm going to set my bearing to the east so that we hopefully have the option of running away into another green portal should we need it. We ran into our first Hunchback at warp difficulty 20. We ran into a second one at warp difficulty 17. So it's not out of the question that we could run into more highly dangerous things. For now, we're just kind of biding our time, working a little bit on the shape of the craft, and hoping that we don't die, mostly. So, yeah. We also, as we were going around, we had one of these things spawn in. I'm quite certain it won't do anything to us. It should just deliver us a very small pile of resources, so I'll unpause it here. We have 3 autocannons. We also have an AA battery, so once it notices us, it'll probably make a beeline towards us, and there's no way it doesn't get shot down. Alright, so we just had one of these things spawn in, and I gotta say, I absolutely love this craft. Even though it's just using the simple lasers, I think that this is one of the cooler small designs of the lightning hoods. The waves are going to make it a little bit difficult for both my craft and this craft to function, because of course my hover tanks are docked up quite high, but yeah, the Martyr still hasn't been able to detect us. It's still just chilling over there, so yeah, nothing's really going on, but there is a couple of things in play. Alright, so it's gotta be said, I did not think that this thing would get in so close. I thought it was going to stay a lot further away, which would actually give both my bottom tanks the chance to fire at this thing reasonably. So this thing got in a lot closer than I was expecting, and it started doing a rather large amount of damage. It ends up going down in a rather sad way. Most craft can't say that they crushed themselves underneath someone else's butt, but, well, that one can. As for the Martyr, it's still chilling off in the distance. The red indicator has been moving a little bit, so it might have seen us. Let's see. Unfortunately for the Martyr, the waves are way too big for it to drive. I'm not 100% sure it can even move. Oh well. I think technically we made resources on those. Alright, so we finally have the chance here to actually use the resource buoys. Oh my god, I've been waiting for this for so long. Oh jeez. We don't have enough resources to actually make all 5 of them, but we'll go ahead and test it anyway. Should probably... oh no. I do kind of hope that they don't spawn inside of one another. Alright, seems to be fine. Now, the kind of cool thing about the resource buoys, and I'm going to go through and destroy the 3 that are lowest health, because I think I could only actually afford the 2. But the thing about the resource buoys is that they do have the ability to guide themselves a very short distance at about 3 or 4 meters a second. So no matter what's going on with the waves, they can keep themselves in the resource zone, and they can actually slowly maneuver towards something else. And while they're called stealth buoys, it's more in the sense anything that's actually targeting anything. So any enemy vehicle is going to target my carrier or my tanks long before it ever targets or detects the buoys. That's the idea behind the stealth here, is more that a low profile means it won't get targeted, and that there's just a statistical 0 that they'll... oh god, what have I turned on? Okay, hang on, I need to figure out how to turn that off. Alright, I figured out how to get rid of those blue lines, and by that I mean I saved the game and I left and I came back, and they're not here anymore, so that'll have to be good enough. Now where was I? Oh yeah, some tiny little thing with a particle cannon spawned in, but the particle cannon's not hitting it, it's not doing any damage, so it's not a very big threat. It is a Deepwater Guard airship. That thing will die as soon as we land a good hit, and something else has spawned. It seems to have a volley of crams. Yeah! The Bombardier. I love this design. It's so cool looking. I love how the front of it looks. I'm a big fan of this design, even though I'm not afraid of it at all in the slightest. It's still a really cool looking design. So Hesh is going to work extremely well against this thing. I would not be surprised if it dies almost immediately here. In fact, it's already taken some huge hits. And these are some well-placed crams. Yeah, no, it's going down. It has already lost the will to live. Man, what a cool design. Then we get attacked by a scuttlegun, and then we get another chance to use a resource zone. The scuttlegun fights over really quickly. This thing is very pretty, but it's not very formidable for us right now. And yeah, another resource zone. A little bit of money. Now, quick update on the situation. We never got to scrap the Bombardier, and the scuttlegun isn't dead yet. The scuttlegun is pretty disarmed, but we have the Sapphire bearing down on us, and I wanted to get these buoys into the resource zone before I finished off too much. So the tanks have been deployed, we're fighting everything, but this seems like a really good opportunity to talk about the buoys, so I came here instead. So I saw a lot of comments, both on Reddit in regards to these, as well as in the YouTube comment section, of people who were excited to see how these things performed. That Sapphire could have easily destroyed them, and it literally just walked right past them. When I say it's designed for stealth, it has such little mass, such little radar return that it is guaranteed not to be the first thing detected. These missiles, despite the fact that they can probably see these buoys, have almost no chance to actually lock onto them, just because they're such a small target compared to other craft, namely the carrier and the hover tanks. They're simply never going to target these buoys, so the buoys are never in any danger. Well, it's not a literal zero, it's just a statistical zero chance that they actually get targeted. And now that this thing has been taken down, pretty sure its missiles don't have torpedoes on it, so that thing should despawn here in a minute. It looks like the scuttlegun has been disarmed as well, and over here the Bombardier corpse is still sitting there. So, yeah. So, in order to kill this airship, I've strapped a sonar to the bottom of my carrier because it's sitting under the surface of the water and my tanks couldn't see it. So, yeah. Had to do that. But now they can see it, so this shouldn't take very long. There we go, in range for the missiles. So here we are a little while into the future, and a Steel Strider's cat shark has appeared. Now this little craft is actually quite ferocious, and I'm worried that I'm going to lose more material than I gain by fighting it. This thing is mean. It has some kinetic missiles, a pretty powerful main cannon, and a really nasty secondary AA gun. It controls its altitude very well, so that it's really hard to target with stuff like radar. So yeah, this will be a little nasty fight. Unfortunately, my detection systems are not currently good enough to spot this, so it might be able to shoot down all the missiles I shoot at it, and it might be able to bite back quite hard. This is a really, really good little ship. Alright, so the fight against this thing ends up taking a total of 6 minutes. I got plenty of footage that I've sort of just time-lapsed on double speed. I cut out a lot of the fight as well. This thing is... ferocious was the right word. This thing is like a honey badger. It did not care. I really, really wish that I had some torpedoes, because it doesn't have torpedo defense. The big pivotal moment in the fight where I started, I was honestly a little concerned about how the fight was going to go until the back cannon fell off. And then I decided to move all of my tanks into a phalanx formation. I got these little turrets put in place so that I could face the tanks towards where I wanted them without having to release them. So, yeah, being able to point all of them directly at the thing meant that I would be able to see his missiles incoming, and hopefully that would let my interceptors do their work. But also, yeah, so hopefully by concentrating my defense I could take less damage, and by aiming the tanks directly at them, the missiles would hit more often, and that was definitely the way to go. for a little while, and then I went back to letting the tanks do their thing, and their missiles went. Honestly, the missiles on the tanks are the main workhorse of this fight. The Hesh took out the back gun, but other than that, the missiles slowly beat this thing down. We definitely lost resources fighting this thing. I gotta say, I love seeing Steel Strider's craft in action. They just look gorgeous. But yeah, this fight took about 6 to 7 minutes in-game, somewhere around there, because I just did not have effective weaponry. Unfortunately for this little craft here, it's just not fighting in its own weight class. I'm so much larger than it that, you know, trying to chunk through all the blocks that I have just is not a good strategy for it. There was another small Steel Strider's craft that showed up after it, but it was substantially weaker and went down almost immediately. Then we went on for a little while until this thing spawned in, and this thing also looks amazing. It's the Jacob's Treehouse. Not too afraid of it. This is just kind of money for us. It does have like 5 or 6 APS guns all over it, and it has a cram volley. The cram volley is the only thing that really doesn't need damage on this. Those APS guns, I'm not sure what they're firing, but it feels like spitballs. Pretty sure they're firing spitballs. Yeah, the crams will do a little bit if they hit, but all in all, this thing is basically just a floating piggy bank for us, which is very much appreciated right now because we only have 500 materials.
Engage now.
I've made sure to leave target prioritization off of these vehicles, specifically so that I can manually tell them what to target. If you put a target prioritization on a vehicle, and it will override whatever attack command you give it, because it will immediately just reacquire whatever target's on its priority list. So by leaving target prioritization off of drone vehicles or sub-vehicles or things that you want to be able to control, you make that micro possible. His first mistake was getting within minigun range. That was it, actually. That was his only mistake. If he stayed out of minigun range, he might have been okay. This guy got too close. Alright, a few minutes later, and we've got a buzzsaw spawning in. Now, the thing about the buzzsaw, I have tested the tanks against them, and the tanks actually win in a 1v1 versus the buzzsaw, but that's because they're fast. They go full reverse, and they actually just outrun the buzzsaw whilst shooting down everything. They shoot down its entire missile volley, and then their HESH shells eventually disable the buzzsaw, and then they win. The problem is, the carrier is not anywhere near that fast, and it's targeting the carrier. So we're probably going to have to flee through this grain portal, and that's probably going to be about the end of the video. So thanks for watching. I've been Cargo. This has been fun. If you did like the video, then maybe consider, you know, pressing the YouTube buttons, or not. I don't know. You do you. It's Friday, so the next one will be on Monday. I hope to have the new tank variant done over the weekend. You might remember I mentioned I had this was the Hound, and I had something called the Bloodhound that I was working on. So yeah, hopefully I'll have that one done over the weekend. I might do a video on the differences between the two. I might not. You'll have to let me know. But yeah, and then maybe on Monday we can get back into the adventure mode, make some money, get a 4th tank out, and then look at starting to retrofit these into a high performance variant, as well as improving the hull. Getting the hull actually finished. Right now it's like we're like 40% deck. Take that however you want to. I'll see you next time.